Hollywood, success creates a very predictable problem. The moment something becomes a surprise hit, the sequel machine immediately starts rolling. And right now, Netflix is betting that lightning can strike twice with K-pop Demon Hunters. On paper, the decision makes perfect sense. The original film became one of the biggest streaming successes in history, generated a global fan base, produced chart-popping music, and transformed a relatively obscure animated musical into a genuine cultural phenomenon. What if the factors that made K-pop Demon Hunters special are the same factors that could cause its sequel to disappoint? Today we are looking at why K-pop Demon Hunters 2 may be heading towards a problem that Hollywood repeatedly fails to understand. Audiences don't always stay frozen in time. Hello and welcome to Box Office Bhaskar. This channel exists to pull back the curtain on the global film industry. I examine film through three lenses: the business behind it, the content within it, and the audience behavior that drives all of it. If you want to understand film at a deeper level, you're in the right place. To understand why the sequel could struggle, we first need to understand why the original worked so spectacularly. When K-pop Demon Hunters arrived on Netflix in 2025, expectations were relatively modest. It wasn't based on an established franchise, it wasn't adapted from a best-selling book, and it did not have the marketing power of a Disney or a Pixar release. Yet, within months, the film became a record-breaking sensation. It eventually accumulated more than 236 million views, overtaking Red Notice to become Netflix's most watched film ever at the time, before finishing its 91-day tracking window with an astonishing 325 million views. What made this success particularly remarkable was that the film didn't explode immediately. Instead, it grew through word of mouth. Viewership actually increased in the weeks following the release, something almost unheard of in the streaming era. The movie managed to combine multiple fandoms into one giant audience. It appealed to K-pop fans, animation fans, anime fans, younger Netflix viewers, and audiences interested in Korean culture. But perhaps more importantly, it was accessible even to people who knew nothing about K-pop. Viewers repeatedly described discovering the film out of curiosity and become unexpectedly invested in the characters, music, and the world. The film also arrived during a period when Korean entertainment was reaching unprecedented global popularity. After the success of Korean music, television, and films over the previous decade, K-pop Demon Hunters felt perfectly timed. It wasn't simply exploiting K-pop trends, it celebrated them while mixing them with fantasy, action, mythology, humor, and emotional storytelling. The result was a rare cultural crossover hit that appealed across generations and countries. This brings us to the biggest issue facing the sequel. Netflix and Sony have confirmed that a follow-up is in development, with reports indicating a release date of 2029. That means audiences could be waiting roughly 4 years after the original film. 4 years may not sound like much to studio executives, but it is a very long time in youth culture. Consider who made the original film a phenomenon. A significant portion of its audience consisted of teenagers and younger viewers who embraced the music, the characters, and the fandom surrounding the film. The problem is that by 2029, those same viewers will be in completely different stages of their lives. A 12-year-old fan becomes 16, a 15-year-old becomes 19, a high school student becomes a university student. Their tastes change, their interests evolve, and the things that felt culturally essential in 2025 may no longer feel relevant. Hollywood assumes that nostalgia will automatically bring audiences back, but nostalgia usually works after a long period of absence. People felt nostalgic about Toy Story, Top Gun, Jurassic Park because those properties disappeared from their lives for decades. 4 years is not enough time to create meaningful nostalgia, but it is long enough for audiences to move on. That creates an awkward middle ground where the original films may have outgrown the property while new, younger audiences lack the emotional connection that made the first film special. There is another problem. The original wasn't designed as a franchise. It was designed as a standalone story. That distinction matters a lot. Some films leave audiences desperate for more because they deliberately set up a future installment. K-pop Demon Hunters succeeded because it felt very complete. The story, characters, and emotional arcs reached satisfying conclusions. The sequel exists not because audiences were left hanging, but because the original became unexpectedly huge. And history shows that sequels born primarily from surprise success often struggle to recapture the magic of the original. Netflix undoubtedly sees enormous value in continuing the franchise. After all, K-pop Demon Hunters wasn't just a movie. It became a merchandising opportunity, a music success story, an awards contender, and arguably one of the most valuable original intellectual properties Netflix has ever created. Industry observers have even suggested that Sony may have left substantial money on the table by selling the project to Netflix before realizing how massive it would become. But financial logic doesn't guarantee creative success. The original film benefited from something that sequels rarely possess: surprise. Nobody expected it to dominate streaming charts, break records, and become a cultural event. Every viewer discovered it without enormous expectations. The sequel won't have that luxury. Instead, it arrives carrying the weight of one of Netflix's biggest success stories ever. Expectations will be enormous, comparisons will be unavoidable, and every creative decision will be judged against a film that many fans already view as a modern classic. Even more concerning is the possibility that the cultural moment itself may have passed. The entertainment landscape changes incredibly quickly. K-pop trends evolve, streaming audiences shift, new fandoms emerge, new platforms dominate conversations. By 2029, the cultural conditions that helped create the original phenomenon may no longer exist. What felt fresh and exciting in 2025 could feel like yesterday's trend by the time the sequel arrives. None of this means K-pop Demon Hunters 2 is guaranteed to fail. The filmmakers behind the original are returning, and there is certainly enough talent involved to produce another strong movie. But the sequel faces a challenge that no amount of money can easily solve: timing. The original succeeded because it arrived unexpectedly, connected with a specific generation at exactly the right moment, and created a cultural event nobody saw coming. The sequel, meanwhile, arrives burdened with massive expectations. A 4-year wait, and the difficult task of reconnecting with an audience that may no longer be the same audience. Hollywood loves to believe that every hit deserves a sequel, but sometimes a phenomenon works because it exists in a specific moment that cannot be recreated. And that's why K-pop Demon Hunters 2 might be one of the riskiest franchise bets Netflix has ever made. The real question isn't whether the sequel can be good. The real question is whether the audience that made the original a phenomenon will still be waiting when it finally arrives. Well, I hope you liked this video. Please subscribe to my channel for more in-depth conversations about the global film industry. And let me know in the comments, do you think a sequel for K-pop Demon Hunters is a bad idea? I will be back with another video very soon. Until then, it's bye from Box Office Bhaskar.